So in this video, we're going to do a quick introduction to the opportunities functionality within Microsoft Dynamics 365 for sales. Now, this is going to be one in a series we're going to do specifically on the opportunities functionality. So we'll dive into some of the features in much more depth in future episodes. Now, you can see links to others in the series below. Also, you've got any suggested content ideas or need any help with Microsoft Dynamics, please see the links below. So let's go into the system. So I'm in my sandbox system with it's all test data in here, and I'm in the opportunities area from the left hand menu, and you can see I'm in the all opportunities view at the moment. And then before I dive into a record, let me just talk about what opportunities are. Now, opportunities are typically future sales opportunities of some description, so that can take many forms. So for somebody like myself, we would be tracking potential consultancy work, implementation projects, system reviews, and things of that nature. If I was a construction company, I might be tracking future building projects that we're bidding for. But we've got all sorts of less obvious, less traditional uses. A charity might use the opportunities area to track applications for grants. A company that sells primarily through franchises might use it to track the funnel of potential franchisees, for example. A finance company might track potential investment opportunities. So there's lots of different ways of using it, but I suppose the hallmark is it's going to be of some substantial value, because you're not necessarily, well, you're probably not going to track an opportunity for £100 or something fairly trivial, and it tends to be a sort of fairly involved process that may take some time to evolve from initial lead through to a decision around whether it's won or lost. So that's typically the hallmark of it. Now, I'm just going to go into a record and I'm going to talk about the benefits of doing it. So I'm just going to do a quick search on a record I've already got. I'll just open that up, and that's an opportunity record. And we'll dive into what that is and what the functionality there is. But let's just talk about what are the benefits of opportunity management. Historically, I guess opportunity management was one of the early features of CRM, and it was really designed to replace the salesperson's Excel spreadsheet forecast by bringing that into the system. And the aim was really to provide better visibility of future business, so organizations could plan and resource effectively. And that remains one of the benefits of implementing opportunity management capabilities. But I think probably a second and potentially bigger benefit is just helping sellers sell more, or help sellers sell more effectively. Now, that's predicated on a simple notion that small changes in conversion rate of lead to one business can have a really profound effect on the bottom line. I certainly encourage everybody to model that for your own particular businesses. So if we can make sellers more effective and more efficient going through the selling process, and we can improve that conversion rate, that can have a really big benefit. The third area, and again it's increasingly a feature in recent years, is that sort of area of control and compliance. That might be a control of something like discounting so that we maximize margins, or making sure that we're putting forward the widest range of products to get the most, or services to get the most out of a given opportunity. But it's also got potential things like sort of legal compliance aspects, things like know your customer or anti-money laundering legislation. So again, this can have a role in sort of maintaining control and compliance. If you're bidding on a fixed price basis, you may want controls in place to make sure that you're not inadvertently putting forward something that you're going to lose money on. So there's quite an interesting control and compliance dimension to it. And I guess the fourth benefit area is really that if you can manage the sales process better, if you can gather more information, if you can control the sales process better, then that can improve the delivery of the end product and service once you're contracted. So again, that's a sort of fourth dimension. It sort of adds to sort of operational efficiencies and improves customer satisfaction. So that's why we might implement opportunity management capabilities. Now let's do a dive back into the system and talk about the out-of-the-box capabilities. Now I really stress this is Dynamics pretty much out of the box. I might have added a field here and there as I've been going through these videos, but pretty much this is out of the box. I would say for virtually nobody should be using Dynamics opportunity management out of the box. Very, very few. It's not going to work for many organizations. Everybody's selling processes are different. So ideally, you're going to tune the opportunities area to the way that you work as a business. So what I'm showing is out of the box, but for most people, you're going to actually implement and configure something slightly different. So let's talk about the screen here. So I've got some key data in the top bar here. So I've got the account, the opportunities for, the estimated close date, the projected revenue, and who owns it, which is kind of core data. I don't actually like this top bar personally, because though it appears at the top, I think the eye is drawn more to the center, so it's easily missed. It's also more complex to update this information than it is to update other fields. The other key thing you'll notice here is we've got this sort of schematic, if you like, which is the sales process bar. And you can see I've got effectively a depiction of several stages here: qualifying the opportunity, developing it, proposing it, and closing it. Now these are the out-of-the-box stages. Clearly those can be adapted to your set of stages, which may well be different from these. But the process bar is really useful because it can control the sales process. So if I click on qualify here, which is the stage I'm in at the moment, it's telling me this is the sort of information we're expecting you to gather before you move it on to the next stage. If I then click next stage, that's going to move me across into the develop stage. So I've moved it on a stage, and it's now saying to me, this is sort of information we want you to be filling out here. So it sort of starts to guide and manage the seller through the process. What's really powerful with it is you can actually make these fields mandatory. Not mandatory on creation of the record, because you might not have that information at that point, but mandatory in terms of being able to move from one stage to another. That field must be filled out if you're going to be allowed to move forward. So this is quite a powerful area, and we'll be going into that in more detail in future videos. So I've moved down the screen. On the left here, I've got some information or further information about the opportunity. I've got the opportunity name, our key contact, budget amount, currency, probability, some of the things you would expect to see, the source campaign. So we're tracking certain information about that opportunity. Again, you would tune that to your particular needs. Then I've got an up next area, and that's telling me any scheduled activities that I've got relating to that opportunity. So I might have scheduled a meeting in relation to it. I might have scheduled a phone conversation I'm going to have. Those would appear here. And if I wanted to create a future activity, I can do that from this tile. I've got my timeline view, and that's ready to give me that history of all the interactions I've had on this opportunity, whether that's notes, phone conversations, tasks, appointments, or emails I've saved to the opportunity record. We've got an assistant area here, and that works on Microsoft's use of insight cards, which are sort of, you've got a range of insight cards that come out of the box with the system, and effectively once a certain set of criteria is met, so maybe your estimated close date is close, or you've gone beyond that estimated close date, or actually there's one for it believes that there's some negative sentiments being expressed about this opportunity, it'll flag those in this assistant area. And then we've got a number of other areas. Here we've got stakeholders, so I can track who within Acme Limited or people working on the behalf of Acme Limited, like consultants, are involved in the decision-making cycle. I've got our sales team. I haven't got anybody in there at the moment, but I can add a sales team, because if it's a big opportunity, we might have several people within our own organization that are working on this particular opportunity. And I've got a competitors area if we want to track any competitors involved in the opportunity. So that's the front page. The next page we've got is products. Now, this may or may not apply, but this is out of the box. So if I go to the products area, I have the ability to track within the CRM system a set of products. I can track a set of, or multiple sets of price lists. And if I wish to, I can build up the profile of the opportunity through putting in products. So I can say that we might have, I've got one CRM audit and one project support, but it could be 5 CRM audits or 3 project supports or whatever it is. I can build up the profile. Now, that's not going to be relevant to everybody, but I can associate a set of products against a given opportunity. And taking that a little bit further, if I go to the quotes area here, I can actually create a series of quotes. So in other words, we've got one opportunity, but over the time we might issue multiple quotes. So we might start off that the client wants, I don't know, 5 machines, for example, and then they change that, they want 3 machines, we do a quote on that. They change that, and then they want 10 machines, or they change the discount structure. We will likely be generating multiple quotes potentially against an opportunity, and this area tracks the details of the quotations that have been issued. So I'll dive into quotes in more detail later in the series, but again, that's an out-of-the-box capability should you wish to use it. And finally, or not quite finally, I've got a files area, which is an integration with SharePoint, and that allows me to store documents relating to this particular opportunity. That could be quotations, it could be proposals, it could be requests for proposals. We might want to track contract documents there. So it allows us to build up the sort of library information against that particular opportunity record. That can be really useful downstream when we're sort of implementing the product or delivering the product or service in some way, that we've got that history of documentation that's been created for it that can really smooth the path of that. So finally, if we go back to summary, in terms of how we complete an opportunity or end its cycle from lead to won or lost, I've got 2 buttons here, close won and close lost. And if I want to set it to close won, I'll just click on that, and it gives me a final dialog that allows me to update that before it's closed. Once it's closed, it's locked and it's set as one opportunity. Anyway, that's a sort of flying introduction to the opportunity functionality within Microsoft Dynamics. As I say, we're going to dive into various aspects of this in a lot more depth in this series, so please see the links below, see other videos in the series. Also, suggested content ideas, or you need any help with Microsoft Dynamics, please see the links below. Anyway, thank you very much for your time today, and hopefully see you again soon.